but also the players are to be thanked for that.
Yes. Thank you, players. It'll be very nice to be able to see your names, but I'm really unexcited to have to pronounce Bilbo Bay Baggins.
I think he said you can call him Bill.
I just want to say that's not how you spell Baggins.
Well,
My OCD is triggered.
it's their name. They can spell it however they want.
Their parents. Ma and Pa Bilbo Baggins.
Bagans.
Bagans. Oh, they must hate that. Mr. Baggins, come to the front of the class. It's Bagans. We love you, Bill. We love you. We do this because we love you.
Anyway, round 2 of the 7th Newcomers tournament, and we have some prizes here. Look at the green stuff on the left. So green, so pretty.
Yeah, I see great prices, and I see resources on a map that not in love with.
Well, there are resources somewhere.
Yeah, they're out there.
You just have to find them.
I think this could be a big Silicon game. I really do. Looking at this, my instincts tell me that Silicon's going to be very important here. Oh, we didn't do an intro. Welcome to our second free-for-all game in our Newcomers tournament. I am Jalbertman or NC Game Wizard. This is... Oh crap, Yaran, there we go. Yes. I have terrible memory. I'm sorry, Yaran, I'm sorry.
Oh crap, Yaran is my name.
Yeah, this is oh crap, Yaran. That's what you say when you see him jumping into the queue. Oh crap, Yaran. Alright, so we got 2 players founded. We've got other players maybe being a little bit hesitant, trying to get the best idea going for what you can work with. A little surprised to see Ryak coming down last, since he, won his last game. You kind of expect him to be Johnny on the spot with it.
Well, he does get about as reasonable a spot as you can expect on this map. He has
That's
iron,
true.
he has steel. I don't know what else you can possibly hope for.
I would be really leaning robotic just because it looks like water is going to be a pain. He really should have known that because he could see where the scavenger had founded. I don't know. We'll see. It might work out. You can fix it.
I agree, but at the same time, as an expansive, you have those decreased shipping costs, and you will have to ship everything.
The thing about the decreased shipping costs it's not always as it's good, but that just incentivizes you to screw yourself over more with your shipping.
Yeah, in a way, like, he's in the middle of resources, but he's very far away from everything.
It's hard to ride the line with shipping of, I'm an expansive so I can ship this, versus, no, I'm just going to collapse due to debt. Especially with that increased life support costs. It's a trade-off.
Yeah, that is a good point. As a robot, you would not have those life support costs, and you would just have an easier time in the first place.
We got another dry ice scavenger.
Yeah.
At least there's good money in it right now.
There is good money. There's also very good money in food, so I would say that this found is better than what Dow was doing in the previous games, because at least they have.
Will it be better enough?
Yeah, in the long game, I still don't think it's possible to actually get anything meaningful with this.
The big concern is if he doesn't go for a patent lab and fix this problem with some teleportation and slant drilling, he's probably going to be what I call a one-trick pony economy, which is, you can see now, he's already gone out of the water pump. He only has water. He doesn't really have oxygen, doesn't really have carbon.
Well, to be fair, water resources are already through the roof, not just food, which is keeping its price, but also fuel, which is insane, and he's the only person who isn't shipping that much, I don't think. Well, actually, Bilbo isn't shipping anything, but they also don't have iron, which is a problem.
Yeah, that is a crazy fuel price, considering nobody has bought up the price at all. I'm just messing with it.
One important thing to note about this map is that core samples are actually available, so that should help alleviate the horror of the...
I say Ryak wins.
I don't know, does he? What does he core sample off of? He has nothing.
You start with your water, You start with the water.
Okay.
And with the water, you collapse out life support.
Sure.
Then you move into silicon, which you ought to be able to find probably a little far away, but you've collapsed the price of fuel, so that's okay. Then you move into glass. Might take a little long if you do it the way I just described, but I'm sure you could figure out the most efficient way. And once you get your upgrades, you get up to level 5, you just win the game. You just do it.
And it's only
right there.
Sol 15.
Well,
yeah. The problem with that plan is that they're not really following that plan at all. They have dry ice, which is really good right now. But life support is really raising the
or
debt.
at least oxygen's not really rising, but everything else is on its way up.
But fuel, they're spending about 0.6 fuel per second, which is more than most.
One moment.
Yeah, Vosh, in the meantime, is just doing a robot thing, which is just solid, really.
Yeah.
Especially with everyone else being a glass colony and consuming those consuming glass for upgrades, which means
little worried about the power price for that robot. Yeah, by little, I mean a lot.
Power is already very high. Carbon, unfortunately, because of that crazy scavenger, is making wind turbines very difficult. And if I was Vosh, I would be looking at some geothermals. Generally, they're very expensive, but in a case like this, they are your best bet.
Vosh is looking at a core sample, and I agree. That's definitely the way to help fix this, whatever issues he's looking to fix.
I'm not sure what issues they're looking to fix, though. I'd imagine they want to find some water, so maybe they're trying to find some of that lake beds or whatever terrain to make some water tiles. But it's not looking like... Actually, there are some riverbeds.
There's a couple cracks, a little bit to the east, kind of over the gorge. And there's a little bit to the south. Who knows? Who knows? If I were him, I'd probably be looking towards some silicon. It's not really expensive now, but as you pointed out, just carbon's really not going to get better on this map. And solar, yeah, it exists.
So, what is Bill doing? He's a little behind. He has no iron, but that doesn't seem to be a huge problem, though. They're not making enough steel. But since they don't have iron, maybe you are kind of forced to run just 2 steel mills.
They're really not making enough of anything.
Yeah.
This is... You gotta make choices. You know, either make as much glass as you can make, or make as much water as you can make. But do not try to do both. Not at level 2.
Well...
Or level 3, I guess.
Water is really good, though.
Yeah,
so
maybe you should have gone whole hog and water.
I think water and glass are fine. The problem is that silicon, which is it's a pretty common trap for new players, is that you think you need the base resource to produce an advanced resource, but you
looking at the price on silicon. I mean, it's
that's the thing. You can just buy that resource. You don't have to collect it, and it's of course better to collect it, but the difference between prices was so big at the time that you could have made a lot of profit from just making glass without buying silicon.
You know, with everybody at 3 though, it's not necessarily a bad move to be playing towards the long game. Maybe would have liked to have seen him take that medium silicon and know about those core samples, thinking about the future, but it's okay. Right now that silicon's really valuable, so I'm cool with that as a claim. Little less cool with the single glass kiln and the single electrolysis reactor.
That is
little less.
Again, that is covering your... That is technically good, but it would be much better if you just commit to one of those markets, and then you will make more money, and then you can buy the other.
Here's a small thing that newer players don't always pick up on, and this is something that even me, with my little compulsiveness, had troubles with. And that's, you don't want to put your buildings on resources. Because it's a steel mill, so it doesn't need aluminum, right? But obviously it's almost always better to be able to transition, even if it's just a matter of, well, I've got farms over here on my aluminum, so maybe I want to make aluminum over here and have triple farm. And that's a choice you can make because you said, hey, You know, that steel mill, that glass kiln electrolysis reactor, those are two claims that could be next to each other on resources attached to my HQ. And newer players don't always cotton on that that's better, even if it's not the resource you need.
Yeah. I actually have fallen kind of in that trap, even for many,
I
many
think
hours in
most
the
people
game.
have. Most people.
In slightly different scenarios, but similar ones when you have a resource that you don't want to take yet, and then someone else takes it from you because you
Yep.
didn't build your steel mills on top of it to secure it.
So, Bill and Ryak both making power money, which is interesting. Ryak going into a patent lab, which is probably a great move, and Vosh also in a patent lab. So
Oh,
we got
it's
Ryak not using it, Vosh going for teleportation. All kinds of crazy stuff happening here.
this is definitely a patent lab game for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
You have slant drilling as an option, teleportation is an option. Our off-rolls are not great yet, but they might become better. So thinking machines is always great.
Oh,
All
that fuel
patents are
price
great.
rising like a monoplane. You know, just slow increase, nothing stopping it, not slowing down. Scavengers already in D-level debt.
Yeah, I'm actually very fascinated by what Crouchik has been doing because they've been moving into all these really expensive markets like glass, like life support. They've been mostly ignoring carbon, so they actually were able to keep up with everyone else on the upgrades because they were making so much money.
But
But it came at the cost of them neglecting their debt, and now they are in a bit of a pickle.
Cook the Books could still save them, but they need to hit that button now.
Yes, they needed
And
to
then they
hit
need
that
to hit
button.
it.
Yes, they need to smash that button for a while.
A lot of players, even I forget about Cook the Books. It's hard to utilize it most effectively. It's another one of those hard to ride the line things with debt.
Yeah, definitely. It's at the same time, it's also one of the best black market effects, especially if you're not aware of it, and then suddenly you're in debt, and suddenly you find out, oh wait, let's cook the books. Well, I guess I'm not
It's
screwed yet.
You know, the problem is by then, by the time you've hit D, it's almost already too late. You, you really want to start hitting it around B and just try and keep yourself in eternal A, never getting any better, but never really getting worse.
Yeah, it's still very cheap though, and actually I forget this. The scavenger, they probably don't get reduced cooldown on it because it's not an offensive effect.
It's green and not red, and
Yeah.
Soren's racist, we know.
Look, there's perfectly fine reason behind why that is the case.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what, you're right. I think that I'm just still a little sore about pirates and magnetic storms because that was Scavenger's go-to. Scavengers were the only people who you could really rely on to use them because they were the only people desperate enough to need them.
Yeah, I guess.
Not accounting for those, you know, massive price spikes. Oh, let's put down $2,000 pirate. Like you would see scavengers go for pirates, and or at least I would in 1v1 situations skip aluminum because I'm gonna get aluminum. I've got pirates, and there you go.
Yeah, it's a little sad.
Yes.
That's a
So
good hackery for whoever got that, which is Ryuk, and they are going to short some silicon.
I just think scavenger needs to be slightly more unique. Slightly.
No,
Shortages and surpluses isn't enough. Not in the world where Elite exists and has like 9 advantages.
They use carbon. That's a huge deal.
Sometimes you have to go dry ice scav, but
You
it's all.
don't have to do that. Actually, that's something we haven't been looking enough at, though. What do they do if they don't want to go dry ice scav?
It's a good question. All right, we stumbled on a good question there.
Well, is that iron to the west?
Yeah.
It's bad, but you can.
What I keyed in on too. You can find iron. You can always go robotic and hope.
You know what? I'm gonna just say that southeast corner. You have iron. You have silicon, you have dry ice. You don't have aluminium, which is a problem. You don't have water. But you can found robotic, and you can kind of maybe make it work.
Plus core samples. I guess the biggest concern would be your natural urge is to found next to that silicon, but doing that you end up crushing all of the cracks that could hypothetically be water.
Yeah.
At least I'm pretty sure it's cracks. I guess there's a button. Oh, it's silicon iron. Ooh. You can crush it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Found right there.
I don't think cracks don't produce anything in particular on their
Used to.
own.
Maybe I'm
Kind of
thinking
like
of a
an
Disney movie.
non.
I'm thinking of Disney's Dinosaur is the worst part. That's a scene in that where there's just they make the don't worry about it. It's not relevant.
Okay.
It's not relevant. There's a scene in Disney's Dinosaur. Watch it.
I will trust you on that word. Of
Yeah.
yours. So yeah.
Anyway,
How are people doing on those patents? I think machines for Kratchuk, that's definitely great for them. They're pretty cramped.
look at Ryak's pleasure domes.
Well, oh, that's a nasty pleasure dome.
Yeah.
That's a
For
game-winning
2
pleasure
claims,
dome.
that's like $400 a claim.
Well, the other one is not a real pleasure dome. It's a hackery.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Okay.
It came in an auction. Actually, people should be aware of it.
I would expect. Oh, okay. It says visible building, but I have to mouse over it. Okay, I would expect to be able to know that's a hologram without being on Ryak as well.
Well, I think you should be able to see it on the menu on the right that he has a hack array. And only one
That's
pleasure
true. Yes, I guess you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, so we got an auction. Probably worth that. Barely, but
At this
probably.
point in the game, yeah. Especially
Just-
if you're in Vosh's position where you're behind, you're getting bought out by an expansive who just
That's
has
what I'm
everything
thinking,
in the
yeah.
world.
And you don't have the ability to keep your steel on.
Well, that's just painful.
Yeah. Goodness.
To be fair, if they sold down that iron, steel would come back online. So that is something maybe you shouldn't be too afraid to use. Like auto sell down is a very tricky feature, but it's a good feature.
It's good for when you want to be aggressive economically, and you just want to say, look, this is my market.
Yeah, I would say that it's a feature you want to use more. It's not that hard to use it badly, but if you don't use it badly, you're not going to learn to use it well.
That's very apt. That's very apt. I think it comes down to what you need to win the game versus what you need to be the perfect off-world player. You can look at a replay and you can almost figure out the optimal solution, way to make most money most quickly. But at the end of the day, you don't always need the most optimal solution. So auto selling can be very useful. You typically don't want to do it because it's not optimal. It's better to let the price rise and sell it then if it's going to. You want to be looking around the map, playing well, etc. But
so yeah, Ryak.
Sometimes just making money using that black market's better. So Ryak is
talk about making money. Ryak just buys up Vosh and casually builds 2 off-worlds simultaneously. No big deal. And the off-worlds are okay. Life support never quite got killed.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think it's not entirely the problem with this map, but it's also the problem that no one quite went for those optimization centers, except for Kratchuk.
I was just gonna say. Ryak getting into one now, though. So he has figured out the problem.
You know, it's kind of excessive at this point, almost. It's still good, but it's not going to be nearly as good as it could have been like 2 or 3 sols ago.
Yeah, well, it means we get to wrap this up a little quicker.
So what actually did happen? So Kratchuk just died to death, unfortunately. They were doing some really good rotations. Carbon really didn't bite them quite as hard as we were expecting it to bite them, but unfortunately,
It's still biting though.
yeah,
It never stops biting. That's the big issue here.
yeah, they weren't really going to win this game, I don't think, but they managed to put up a really good fight,
Yeah.
which I'm a little bit impressed by.
If they started using Cook the Books, they might even be able to fix this and get back to 0 debt. Not win, but fix the debt problem.
Yeah,
Get an optimization center down, fix the carbon problem, fix everything.
yeah, that also had to come out a lot sooner for them. I think they don't actually have any optimizations yet, do they? Oh no, they have one. Yeah, that's barely anything. Bilbo, or Bill, yeah, they were not very efficient with their transitions. Going for a single building is almost never worth it. You always want to build at least 2, preferably 3 of a single type of building to maximize the profits. And then maybe crush the market a little bit, which in a 4-player game you're usually not going to be able to do it just on your own. Unless it's
until late game
low.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah. But you can make a lot of profit, because even now, like, that glass kiln is making $45 a second. That chem refinery is actually losing 52, which probably isn't right because they're sitting on a lot of carbon. So it's probably about breaking even or making about $30, like 30 to $70. So that's, in the best of times, that's like $100. Meanwhile, if you just add another kiln, you're going to be making at least 150 of those 2 tiles.
Yep. Yep.
And that being said, they're the one who are actually moving into the only other off-world on the map that Reich doesn't own. The only problem with that is Reich owns everything.
And he's about to own Bosch, and then he's really gonna be unstoppable. Because we're gonna be talking $140,000 just to get these first 5, and then double price at something like $700,000 or something, or $70,000, whatever. $70 a share. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, if Bosch falls, Kratchuk is gonna follow very, very quickly. And
yeah, Ryak already has the buy on Kratchuk.
It's probably not necessarily worth it yet. Although I don't actually know. They have better territory. They have more claims. They have better production.
Another 2 electrolysis reactors would definitely be something I'd be interested in if I was in Ryak's position, but I can see them wanting to play it safe in this tournament. And there's the buy.
There's so many markets in this game that are available that even an expansive can't possibly cover them all.
No, though, surprisingly, still 41,000 on your off-world, so not bad. Still not a bad decision to jump into those necessarily.
Yeah, the oxygen really rose up, and oxygen is being produced a lot on this map by a lot of players, so that is kind of an interesting side effect of a dry ice map, is that oxygen is just going to be low for the most part, and if it's a half-decent launch at all, it's going to become good eventually.
So, one thing to consider is that there were return of claims on this map the entire time. So there's probably alternative ways that you could play it, where you have something like silicon coming in, and instead of selling it, you just stockpile. And then later, when you've got enough of it, you get that claim back and you just, make some money.
Perhaps.
For 2,000 for 2 return of claims, potentially a workable idea.
Yeah, perhaps. I would be more interested in reclaiming aluminium, probably. Because silicon, there's not a lot of it on the map, and it was very high throughout the whole game. So,
yeah, aluminum would be a great decision to get rid of too.
Yeah, iron potentially for the robo expansives.
Ryak just ignoring Kratchuk's.
Well, I think he's gonna buy him out now. He just wanted to get that cheap stock from Bill. Really had to defend himself. If he
You know, we might see Bill take the scavenger. It won't help, but we might see it.
Well, it's gonna make the game last a bit less, even.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
I'm a little surprised by why Vosh got so far behind Ryak. I guess it's just lack of claims, really, and the fact that he went for all that crazy water on the other edge of the map, some carbon, some silicon. I think as a robot you have to kind of bite the bullet a little bit and commit to fewer base resources, and maybe not take every single one of them, but maybe skip carbon.
you said it yourself. This was a patent game.
Well, that too. They kind of split the patents pretty evenly, actually.
Yeah, but did he? Oh, he did
actually,
get teleportation.
Yeah,
What?
It's actually very hard to say who got the
He
better.
got teleportation, and he still could not get it together. My goodness, I missed that entirely. I thought that somebody else must have swiped teleportation, because that's, you know, what I would have gone in to just make this spot workable, but just not enough when Ryak is making that much money.
No, I think it's really just not making the right transitions, perhaps sitting on resources a little too much, not selling down. That's one thing that Ryak is doing relatively efficiently. He's just constantly selling stuff down, constantly creating cash and reinvesting.
Successful off-world shipment. Make room for the profit. Shipment launched.
But yeah, Krajcik finally repays debt. Little too late, perhaps. I think they were repaying their debts quite a bit, because they never bought that many cooked books. Who actually bought cooked books?
Ryak.
Ryak, yeah, they never bought any. So
Ryak bought cook the books.
So yeah, they were just paying down that debt. It seems like, because they never went too deep into D. And that was another problem, is that they were actually investing so much cash into paying debt that they couldn't keep up with Ryak.
So this is the kind of map that turns you into an off-world hero right here. Is just, you know, there's not really any optimal spot. Ryak managed to win it just because he had the spot that was easiest to improve, and he kind of kept into his strengths and did not let his opponents play to his weaknesses. But yeah, very, very difficult map. Despite the fact that the prices started so high, it's very hard to find a spot to get into a dominant position. Even Ryak has issues.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy map to deal with.
Yep.
And actually, bringing it back to our discussion at the beginning, this is probably why Expansive is maybe a little bit better than Robot on this map. It's just because you have all those claims and you can expect the resources to go nuts. And you can just have a lot of production, even though
it comes down to, can you trust yourself to make it to the late game? Because if you can, yeah, Expansive's going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if players decide that they don't like your found and they start focusing you with Black Market, it's just not going to be a good day.
Well, you know, this Black Market was really not particularly mean towards players. There was just the Power Surge and the Mutiny, and that's it. And then there's a whole bunch of other non-offensive
Which I would like to say, you know, using the other non-offensive options might have changed the outcome a little bit here, instead of mashing $35,000, $40,000 on Bribe Acclaim.
Well, I mean, Bribe Acclaim is almost never a bad choice. I would have loved to see some more core samples, some more claim returns. Also, auction tiles, when that bribe claim is this expensive, just pay a little debt for a tile. Your choice.
Especially if you're the scavenger, right? I mean, it's not like you're afraid of D-level debt.
Yeah, I'm a little sad for Krajcik. I really liked what they did, but it was just an impossible.
Dry Eye Scav was not meant to be. It was not meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how well you play, it's just not a plausible start.
If you're gonna go Dry Eye Scav and you don't have a plan to have Carbon supplementing it, you are planning to fail. And that can be fun sometimes.
Yeah, that sounds harsh, but that's basically true.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think I think everyone has tried to do dry ice scav at least once.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I wouldn't blame anyone for trying at the end of the
I
day.
remember when regular ice had just got buffed, and I had just gotten into the game, and I was winning games because nobody knew that ice was a medium, and so they thought I didn't have any water. But
Yeah.
dry ice has never gotten the exact same treatment because Soren's like, nah, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, dry ice is fine. It's just
It is. It is.
you should not treat it as a main source of carbon for your literal everything.
If you're gonna have, say, dry ice is gonna be my carbon. This is my thoughts on it. You want to found kind of like Ryak did, where most of your claims are gonna end up on dry ice anyway, so that you can afford to go whole hog as long as you can as long as you can put up the glass price. And that plus an optimization center, and you can kind of get away with it even on Mars, but you have to know, hey, this is my dry ice strategy, and you also have to not be the scavenger.